Good day. Welcome back to my channel. So we're on to the next step. Since we've gotten the bridge done and the basic wiring set up for that, the next step I have now, or the direction I'm going, is the upper dining room and the engines. So the engines were kind of where I went next. So I wanted to show what I ended up doing because it required a little bit of manipulation. I'll show you what we've got or where we are, and this is, the wiring is really ugly at the moment because this is just slap it together so I can test it and make sure everything is working. So I did end up going with the original engine pieces, and if I can get my fingers to work here, there we go. So the rear lights up, and then I have the marker lights top and bottom. Now, there's a reason that those are white and that these are green, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So what I found was the red LEDs that I had gotten and also the orange ones I'd gotten drew so much that if they were on the same circuit as any other color LED, they would overpower it and the other LEDs wouldn't light. So instead of ordering new lights or trying to figure out what it was about the power draw, which is probably something I should figure out at some point, just not for this project, what I chose to do is go ahead and put in the marker lights with white, with the soft white, and then I will go back and color them with a glaze, and that'll get me red. So it'll work. What I wanted to point out is how I did this. So essentially, you saw the wirings I had done for the engine lights. I just slid them down in, and I drilled a hole here. So this piece went into here, drilled a hole here. There's a matching hole in the wing here, which will then go into the body of the of Serenity. So we'll go into the body here, which will take us inside the cavity of the body. Running the wires is pretty simple. I just took one of these, sent it through, and pulled it back out. So it was, just fish, leader line kind of thing. Now, what I ended up doing was taking two of the lights and essentially soldering them together. And that's how I did these. So if you look at these, I'll go ahead and pull out just two LEDs real quick. There's two. So essentially, put them in parallel by taking the positive, negative, right? And then what I did is I just cut it to where the length was where I needed it. And the way this is done, on the bottom, which is this one and this one, it just barely clears the surface. On the top, it sticks out a bit more, and we'll get to that in a moment, because it goes through the shield. So when these light up, essentially what I did was I soldered those together, then I put them in. Now, this one I just slid in sideways. This one I had wired up first before I slid it in, so I made that mistake. So I ended up routing all this out so that I could just sort of slot that and drop it in. This one I slid it in, and then I soldered it in place. 6 1/2 does the other, really. In the end, for ease of work and for less resin dust everywhere, this is better. But I did what I did. Now, the nice thing is these will just drop on now. So this is the next step, is to drop on the intakes. So that'll be fine. The other piece that I have to do here, so right here is where the light is, and this is sided. So this is the right side, and I believe this is the right side. Yep, so this is the right side. So what happens is this piece goes there. They have these little standoffs there, and there. And right where this light is, there's that little bump. So what I will do is I will take a small drill and I'll hand drill that out, and so that just that little tip of it extends through there. So then it's got the same distance clearance as the bottom, right? So it looks small like the other ones. Now, I'm pointing out something I saw on the instructions. So it tells you that your heat shields are side specific with a navigation light on top, which these do. But I noticed that this doesn't say anything for those standoffs, right? And I got to looking at those, and I can't tell if they're on purpose or not. They really look like they are. And I've looked at different pictures of Serenity, and I'm going to go back and look at a few more before I do anything more. But the more I look at it, I don't know if I want these to be standoff or just mounted straight in. Would be easier if they just mount tight, because then I don't have to worry about, do I have the right distance, etc. And it'll make that part easier. But is it right? So I'm going to go look and find out. The other thing I'm finding out is these are deformed. So like you can see this, it's not fitting well. So I need to heat these up and reshape them. And that's what we have yet to do with the engines. So, and I was going to just cut through and, do the engines and wings and show you. But I wanted to show this part first, because that's how I did all the wiring. Will be covered as soon as I put these on. So my next step is to go ahead and put the engine intakes on, finish prepping all this stuff up, and I will come back to you once I've done that, and we'll talk about how we're gonna do the next steps on the where we're going, because we'll see what we've done with the body. So we will be back after this. Okay, so it has been about 2 seconds for you and about 2 days for me, but we've gotten some more work done, and we're pretty much at the next major step for me. So I've got the intakes on, I have the heat shields on. I did remove the standoffs, I cleaned those up. This needs to be filled in because there is some glow through there. This fin needs to be fixed. I've noticed that, so I'm going to take some cardstock, fix that. And then I need to give this a dusting of primer so I can find all of the spots that need to be touched up. So where the lights are here on the bottom are going to need to be touched up and cleaned up with putty to make sure that they're smooth and whatever. But I need to take care of that. The lights up top work fine. So when I go ahead, and I'll just go ahead and do this real quick. I'll give you guys the look-see this thing. Slide this back here. Here we go. So get it to where I can actually do that with my fingers and not block the view. That. There we go. So, right. So you see there's a little bit of bleed through there, and there is some frisket on it right now. So these are lit and ready to go. Same with this. Pretty much now that just, when I paint it, I'll put the glaze over it to make it red, and then we'll be good to go there. The tunnel into the wing has been drilled on both sides. I've put the wings in place for now. They need to be in because of the way the rest of the model needs to go together. So it was easier to put them in, and then I'll feed the wiring through to close that all up. So this extremity is done with the wiring, so I can go ahead and start the prepping and the painting. Now, one thing I did notice, I do need to put these on, had to do some cleanup here. Now, one thing I was curious about was the inside here and the edge, on whether these veins whether this extra bit here between these veins existed. And I looked at pictures of Serenity, and yes, indeed, it does look like that, although there are internal veins. You can see the veins inside as well. These just kind of glue on, so this will be, the last piece I'm going to do after, before I prime it, and then put that in. I will give this a quick coat of silver. I'm probably going to give this a quick coat of silver before I glue it on, then glue it on, then give it that blue glaze. because I want to control how much silver goes down inside. And then paint this up, find all the sanding, the things I need to sand off before and these will be essentially mostly ready to go on once you know, mostly done except for the main weathering. Once I've done that, and then I'll put them on. So that's the state of the engines. The canopy for the bridge, there we go, has been puttied up. I've got one more layer of putty to do, and then I can sand that off and I can start cleaning that up. The next bit is this. Now these are the housings for the landing gear. These are also site specific, and I have them backwards, so I'll grab this one. Now as I look at these, I'm going to need to do some work. So these are supposed to be solid, and these are where the landing gear sit inside on the side of the main cargo bay. So I need to put these together, but it looks like I'm going to need to clean these out and then actually back them with cardstock so that, you know, it looks right, because right now it's all flashing and looks like crap, and I'm going to need to fix this, although this part goes here, right up here. So this part here will go up there, so I've got to clear that away. But if we look at the way these things go on, there's a whole mess of cleanup I need to do here. But it's not a lot. It's just, you know, I say a whole mess. It's not that terrible amount. It's just, you know, work to do. This is also now ready to come on. The back tail part is being finished up right now, so I can start wiring it. So the next step for me, I've figured out how the lighting up here is going to work. I'm just going to put 2 small soft white here and 2 small soft white in here, like sort of standing away just to give it a glow. And then the paint will sort of block all that off. So that's how those windows are going to get lit up, and that'll be fine. We'll paint this, give it its main sheen, and then we'll put crystal clear over to create windows in it, and then we'll detail those up. But I will do that last, because putting masking on and off over crystal clear just rips it all off anyway, so there's no point. So essentially this is mostly done, right? So all I need to do is finish wiring that light here, and then connect all these, but that'll be the last thing I do before I put the bottom on. Now the one thing I need to figure out with this is the stand. So I'm figuring I will mount the stand right here, but the question is, how am I going to mount it? I need to mount this in tight, and then I'm probably going to have to pin these to lock those in. And then we do the tail. So I believe next time we will probably be talking about the tail, although, you know, that's next time me's problem. But I will cut this video now because we've sort of babbled on for a bit. And until later, I will wish you all happy modeling, and talk to you next time.